It's time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shot.
¿Qué onda, vatos locos? It's your boy Dave in the 702 coming at you for a Monday night Shoe Shine podcast edition. Joining me all the way from the city of brotherly love, Philly, Irish, Drew Evo. ¿Qué pasa? Was cracking, homie?
I don't know. For some reason, I keep wanting to bang the desk to the fucking music.
No sleep till Brooklyn. It is true. It's fight week, and I had people on my comment section telling me, "What's up with that cancellation?" Exactly right. There's been no cancellation. Hey, I could take one for the team and eat my words, man. There's no cancellation yet. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, Drew. I think the fight is, it's fight week. Let's go. 3 episodes of that 24/7 stuff. 3 episodes of that the documentary series on DAZN. Haney-Garcia got through a new camp in Dallas. He said the craziest shit over a span of 6 weeks, but here we are, fight week. It looks to be a go.
Unfortunately, the athletic commission really just wants to see this kid get his ass kicked.
Hey,
it's
guys.
just not bad. Not bad. I want to see him get his ass kicked too.
Hey, I appreciate. Oh, sorry, Drew, to interrupt you. I just wanted to appreciate everyone who's joining in the room, guys. I wanted to make an announcement because the show is. We're kind of on a time crunch tonight. As you can see, I've taken down the phone number. I won't have the phone lines open as much as I want to hear from everybody. Please, let's get this chat going. Hit that like button so it can be shared. Everyone, Sin City Syndicate in the house. SB, hello. Thank you so much. Lukey, Big Dog Lukey in the house. Oh, man, this is a big week, Drew. There's a lot of news. A lot of stuff happens to the point where now I'm thinking we definitely need to have more than one show. We'll have Sin City Syndicate giving the live odds. Maybe we could put together a parlay this week on the Shoe Shine, Drew.
You know what? I really look at it like this, that, that we had we put time in our lives typing shit in other people's chat. They should do this. They could do the same in us instead of trying to call in and type it and everything. So,
Wait.
But
I'm not feeling you.
I like, tell you the truth, I want to get myself one of those masks. Those guys had the 5-on-5 thing.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get to that 5-5. I'm excited about that June 1st card. Of course, we got Cinco de Mayo coming up in just 2 weeks here in Las Vegas. 2 to 3 weeks. It's going to go bananas here in Las Vegas. We've got the announcement of the undercard. We got the 5-on-5. Boots Ennis, Jerome Boots Ennis, Philadelphia's finest, signs with Matchroom Boxing on DAZN, the welterweight IBF champion. Man, those are some big things in store for him. As well as it's fight week. We're going to get to our predictions about Devin Haney. Shout out to San Francisco-born Devin Haney, Team Haney, Raza for Haney. Are you Raza for Haney or are you Raza for Haney-Garcia? Should I even ask Drew?
I look at it like this: the Boots Ennis signing, he's going to be more active now, which something that they wanted. He wanted to be more active, and it's one step closer to fights like a Virgil Ortiz fight eventually.
I love that fight.
Because they're on the same, and if you look at it like this, he's going to probably most likely have a good starting, estimated starting purse, but at least hey, my process for fights are gonna be like, he's probably gonna get like $2 million a fight going forward, and maybe a little more.
That's a lot of money, and obviously the big fight for him on the table is whether or not Matchroom and Eddie Hearn will be able to negotiate a fight with Terrence Bud Crawford, who still holds 3 of those titles. Hey, no reason for Terrence to go to 154 and wait for Fundora and Tim Tszyu or Tarlo when you got the Saudis doing big things. This Saudi card June 1st is so huge that you have to wonder whether or not they're doing business with Eddie already. Will they offer Terrence Bud Crawford the big money he wants to fight the most dangerous welterweight that there could be at the moment in Boots Ennis? It's just mind-boggling to me.
I look at it like this. I don't think they're doing the business with really Eddie as much as, because here's the thing. Eddie is getting business with them, but he's only getting business with them because of Frank Warner. Because they're doing most of their business with Frank Warner. And most of those cards that Eddie Hearn's involved with the Saudis is Queensberry promotion card. But now they agreed to do a 5-on-5 now. So it gives them more of a business sense. But I really think Terrence may go for another title at 154 until and then be able to bring it to Fundora and everything, because like I look at it like this. The Boots Ennis fight is a high risk, low reward fight.
That's why they got to offer him the big money. Oh, Syndicate, is he trolling? He says Boots is a C-level fighter. Don't believe the hype. I mean, he passes every eye test, and I think my eyes are all right for a 40-something-year-old man.
So, I really think I think Boots is going to have to look at it that now he may not get those other welterweights to fight him now that will potentially have belts, because they're going to be PBC guys.
Well, and I read something about that, Drew. Interesting enough, Mario Barrios, who will be on the Cinco de Mayo undercard as the co-main event, he has high hopes that him, Bob Santos, and their team, and that Al Heyman will allow him to negotiate a deal with Boots Ennis. Interesting enough, they couldn't get that deal made when he was at PBC, but now all of a sudden they really want that fight. Yeah, I mean, like, hey, I believe you. I believe Team Barrios that they want that fight, but when it made sense and it was in-house to have Boots fight the bigger names at PBC, they weren't doing him any favors. Specifically, Al wasn't doing him any favor and letting him fight the bigger names on the PBC roster.
Well, he was never signed to PBC in the first place.
He wasn't.
Actually
signed to
Showtime.
Exactly.
And when Showtime went away from boxing, that technically made Boots a free agent, and Boots could sign whatever he wants. Like, did Al Heyman made an offer to Boots, or did they personally say, hey, I'm not signed with PBC because I want to be more active as a fighter going forward, and I'm not going to be active with PBC. And so he decided to do the second best option. One of his dad's fighters is signed to Matchroom. So that's the leading way, and Eddie will want to sign a welterweight. And why not sign Boots Ennis, a guy that will be easier to sign because one of your fighters is trained by Boots' father, so he does spend time in Philly. You do talk to Bozy Ennis too, so you put it right there. The cards are right there. Let's get Boots over here. We got a couple fights we can get him in. Conor Benn. Eventually, maybe a Virgil Ortiz if he moves up to 154. Boots. He could probably get the Stanionis fight still. But Boots realizes that he unification is very doubtful in welterweight. It's going to still be turned into another shit show division.
Listen, if Boots sticks around, Drew, he's got at 147. He's got some really good options all of a sudden now. We got a superstar in Conor Benn who can only fight in the U.S., guys. He lost his doping appeal in the UK. Conor Benn just fought twice, I think, in Las Vegas. Like I said, I tried to go see him a couple months back here at the Cosmopolitan. He is going to exclusively fight in the U.S. He can still make 147. Obviously, Conor Benn should be looking to have a title, to be a world title, to be a champion. He should be looking for a fight with Boots Ennis. You also got Virgil Ortiz over at the Zone. Now, these were the three biggest contenders in the welterweight division, and now Boots Ennis has a piece of the puzzle. He's a titleist. You still have some of these fringe contenders at PBC. Cody Crowley, fantastic kid out of Canada that lives and trains here in Las Vegas.
What is rumors are that he's lost sight in one eye.
That's horrible. You still have Emiliano Stanionis, who will be fighting on the Cinco de Mayo card. We will get to see him finally back in action. Remember, he had to sit out and wait on an opportunity with Virgil Ortiz that got canceled twice because of Virgil Ortiz's own health woes. So now we finally get to see how he's doing coming along. You still have a prospect, like we mentioned, of Boots moving up to 154 eventually. Or can they negotiate a super fight with Terrence Bud Crawford and have a unification? Ennis, it's crazy. I'm happy for him. That's above all, I'm happy for Boots Ennis.
Like you look at it, he's going to make a lot more money now, Boots, fighting, and he's going to be more active now, so he'll make a lot more money now, and he'll have a starting go weight of his purses and everything. Like Devin Haney. Devin Haney was extremely overpaid, $3.5 million for a fight, and he wasn't even at the level he's at now.
Oh, Drew. Well, let's bring up Devin Haney. Let's bring up the elephant in the room about this weekend. But I'm going to jump to this because I said I had a big announcement, right, Drew? I said I had a big announcement. The big announcement is that I scored $99 tickets on Southwest to New York City this weekend for both my wife and I. I've got comp seats, and I got a $100 room because my family has discounts at the Hilton. Drew, I am going to the Devin Haney fight for $200 fucking dollars per person. That's right.
He's going to New York.
That's how bad. I'm just capping, guys. This is a late. This is a late April Fool's joke.
Yeah, I'm about to say yeah.
But I'm not capping that they're literally giving away seats. Drew, this is really bad.
They are giving away seats.
Why? Whose bright idea was it to have this super fight between Devin Haney, a California, San Francisco born, Oakland raised kid, versus Ryan Garcia? I just don't get it. Why is this fight in Brooklyn? Somebody explain this to me.
Do you want to know who I blame this on solely? Because of the way he was acting the whole time and the way that he was, Ryan Garcia. I blame him for all the metal bullshit because people thought this fight would get canceled. They would not let him fight like this. That he's a mental case. That he has no business in a boxing ring. And, he ruined this whole fight promotion. And people need to look at it. He fucked this whole fight promotion up. He cost motherfuckers money because of his own selfish desires, him being an attention seeker, and capping and trying to fake mental illness and everything. Like, if you're trying to fake mental illness, you are crazy. And you do got mental problems.
Yo, honestly, I don't know if he's faking it, Drew. This week alone, this is fight week, guys. I have not seen him this focused in the entire lead up to the fight. I mean, he's been kind of coherent, and all of a sudden on social media, I'm seeing the dumbest shit ever come out of him. Today, this morning, I woke up that Ryan Garcia, and I've had literally, guys, I have had 2 family members pass away of dementia, Alzheimer's, and very close to us, to my wife and I, obviously. And he said that you can cure Alzheimer's today by drinking plenty of red wine and smoking excessive amounts of marijuana will cure your dementia, Alzheimer's. That was what I woke up to. And then this one just a few hours ago is he's got a cure for cancer. Fast for 3.5 days, water all black coffee, and the cancer will start to fall off. And I think below that it says, trust me, right? Trust me. All right.
So, like,
he crazy.
So I don't know, man. I'll look at it like this too, Nord's point of view. The question is, it's not about can Devin Haney sell. It's because how fucking Ryan Garcia fucked the whole promotion up with his crazy antics. And he could have fucking, people are thinking this is going to get fucking canceled because the athletic commission would not let somebody fight in this condition. But the athletic commission is letting it go. There's potentially an Alvin McCoy incident waiting to happen. And that is the reason why I'm saying this shit. It's not because Devin Haney can't sell. No, Devin Haney can't sell in fucking New York. This is fucking Brooklyn.
That's crazy. He had no problem selling on the West Coast, and I'm not on the East Coast. And shout out to Nerd. Thank you for coming in here and commenting. I don't have my feet on the ground like Maestro or our homeboy Kenny Knockouts. Why this fight can't sell in New York City? For me, it should have never been held there. First of all, Haney has a really solid fan base here in Las Vegas. He's a California-born fighter. He's proved he could sell tickets, that he could put people in the stands in San Francisco, California, home of the Dubs, Golden State Warriors. Ryan Garcia is proven to be a fantastic ticket seller in Southern California, whether it's at the Forum, a former StubHub Center. I mean, this fight could have easily sold out rather quickly in Southern California or Las Vegas, but instead the promoters and DAZN figured, let's give it to Brooklyn. I mean, it don't make any sense.
Well,
to me, period.
Here's a question for you, Dave. If this was out in in California or in Vegas, do you think the athletic commissions will call this fight because of his?
You know what? The marijuana could be in question. I know that recently there was a fighter. Who am I thinking of? Drew Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis was fined. And I think he faced a small suspension in the state of Texas because he fought in Texas. And up until that time, he was still a casual or recreational pot smoker. And it hurt him. But in New York, I guess they're just going to let it go. I mean, Ryan Garcia in the press conferences says, I smoke weed, I drink. Who doesn't? He says, don't pass judgment on me. And I'm not passing judgment on that at all. Shout out to my boy Ryan. Thank you for coming in here. It's been a minute, man. I appreciate you up in here. What do you guys think? I'm going to ask the chat. Do you guys think ticket sales have suffered because there was some anticipation from fight fans that, hey, this whole thing could get canceled, and then I'll be stuck trying to get a refund from the fight promoter? Because it does happen. And sometimes in the main events, they will just issue you a refund. Recently, we saw Amanda Serrano basically not tell anybody that she couldn't fight. And then you had Jake Paul as the co-main fight. Amanda Serrano comes out, cries, and says, I'm so sorry. But they literally issued a refund to everybody that came out. So I'm wondering, I'm asking the chat, do you guys think ticket sales were hurt because of Ryan Garcia's antics, his TikTok live streams and whatnot? And people are like, maybe this fight is capped. Maybe it's not even going to happen. Why waste my time? I don't think that's the case, Drew. I just think that there isn't interest in Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia on the East Coast like they are popular on the West Coast or even in Texas.
It's like this. I'll tell you this right now. If Lomachenko would have fought one of these two, he would have sold New York out.
Well,
because he has sold New York out.
No, Ukraine. There's a huge Ukrainian market. Whether it's Gennady Golovkin, they've proven that time and time again. Eastern Europeans sell very well in New York. Period.
And it's crazy. European. Like Triple G sold out. Even if Usyk comes over to New York and fight, he will sell out there. That's how. And everything, like, that's how popular these guys are. And on the East Coast and everything. On the West Coast, they'll probably would sell out certain, like maybe Loma would or Triple G would and everything. But, like, I really think Ryan Garcia's antics had a big part of this promotion not going away and the ticket sales are not going because they could not trust that this fight was actually not going to get called off or not. And everything, and they didn't think that they will fight a replacement fighter, which the replacement fighter was most likely will be Ono Barbosa, and everything on a certain amount of West on a notice and everything. So I look at it as in we still time. We never know with Ryan Garcia. He may come out the day before and say I can't fight.
Oh, man, I busted a laugh. Sin City Syndicate has the nerve to say Devin Haney is a Thompson boxing fighter. Well, he started his career in Tijuana like Ryan Garcia did. Two young, very young, top amateur standouts in the U.S. amateur circuit, and both of them, starting off their careers professionally in Tijuana. But Thompson boxing, not quite that level. I think he's way above that. Yeah.
Here's a question: what happens? We get to Thursday. Ryan Garcia comes and says, "I'm not able to fight."
Well, then we're gonna get Arnold Barboza Jr. getting an opportunity of a lifetime. Shout out to Arnold Barboza Jr., who's thank you to Lukey who hooked that up. He's been on our show. The co-main gets elevated, man. I'm all for it. It might actually be a better fight.
But you know what? I don't think Devin fights him on 2 days notice.
You don't think they just canned the card?
Arnold Barboza would be in the main event.
Nah, man.
It's not.
I can't even see that card. No, it can't. It's not a pay-per-view card. Yeah, you're right.
It's not a pay-per-view card. So.
And how does that sit well? How does this sit well with the boxing audience here? If you guys are watching this on replay, let me know. What is this? What about this price tag? Is it hurting overall? Should this have originally there was talk of it that it was going to be free on regular DAZN or whatnot, but you're not going to get a fight of this caliber with two biggest stars on regular.
Look at it like this, Dave. If he somewhat before this fight happens says I'm not fighting, fucking Oscar De La Hoya has to fucking part ways with him and sue him.
Well, I hope so. I hope so, Drew.
It is a fucking disgrace if he does. And if this happens, if this somewhat unbelievably happens, Ryan Garcia should never box again. Seriously, even if he's going to lose this fight. I don't care what anybody says. Ryan Garcia is losing this fight.
We'll get into our predictions in just a moment. Drew, Ryan Garcia had this storyline caught my attention. First of all, Alicia Baumgartner last week got into it big time with Clarissa Shields. Most likely, which she's considered to be the greatest woman of all time in boxing. Clarissa Shields she dubs herself that. But Ryan Garcia sent a tweet publicly to Alicia Baumgartner basically saying, yeah, I had slid into your DMs before, but now I think he wanted to holler at her, Drew. Believe it or not. I think he was sliding into her DMs to try to hit it or some shit. But anyways, now he's got some different type of feelings. He's not too happy with Alicia, and he was coming after her. And people were saying, you're worried about Alicia fight week? But let's remember, Alicia is training right now with Devin Haney. So by association, he's coming after her. And I did get a chance to listen to that Clarissa Shields diss track, that video she made, that diss track. I enjoyed it. I liked it. Clarissa Shields, not too bad on the mic. I like that diss track.
I look at it like this. Carissa's going to have to, she's going to have to compromise because technically she's not the A side. She is not the A side here. And a lot of the fighters she fights, she has not been the A side. Like Marshall, she wasn't the A side. Baumgartner, she will not be the A side. And unfortunately, she won't. But she's trying to say, oh, you got to come up to my weight. No, it's going to be a catch weight. You're going to come down to a certain weight, and and Alicia will come up to your weight, but it's going to be a catch weight. And tell you the truth, you can't always have it your way if you're not the A side because you haven't generated any money. People come see, not a lot of people really come see you and everything. Like Savannah Marshall, everybody came to see her box fight you because it's a UK crowd and everything. Like, I just really think that she thinks that, it's over all this. You're not really going to be the A side to a lot of these big name fighters because people just don't see you as a draw. And
well, that's unfortunate. She's kind of talented. She's very talented, among the best. But Drew, I mean, she's recently not knocked out anybody lately, and I've heard that she's going to make a strong effort at becoming a PFL champ, going into mixed martial arts the way Holly Holmes did in the UFC. So we'll see. But I do like all this boxers trying to do rap music. In fact, I saw the latest installment of the Ryan Garcia and can't believe he's in the studio. And he thinks he's also going to be a hip hop artist, which is kind of crazy to me, but let's see the final product. All right. Hey guys, today is a historic day in boxing. A couple of notable things that happened today. One of my favorite, definitely my wife and her family, the legendary Arturo Gatti. This is Arturo Gatti versus Ward. Obviously a Hall of Fame fighter that was taken from us in a very mysterious death that involved his wife. If you guys don't know it, go out and watch a documentary on Arturo Gatti because to me, there's always been a cloud of suspicion over his Brazilian wife and what took place in Brazil and his manner of death. And today is his birthday, and we honor his birthday here on the Shoe Shine. Arturo Gatti, one of the greats. And Drew, he was not a Hall of Fame type fighter in the traditional sense that, he beat Floyd Mayweather because he absolutely did hot garbage like many fighters did against Floyd Mayweather types. He ended up losing his final fight, trained by Mickey Ward, who had become his really good friend and trainer. And he lost that fight to, Alfonso Gomez of the Contender series. Alfonso Gomez, when he lost to him, he knew, hey, it's time to wrap it up. I literally lost to a TV fighter that was featured on the Contender.
Alfonso Gomez got a Canelo fight because of it.
He did. I mean, Alfonso Gomez, hey, shout out to him. He was from the Bay Area. He translated that TV show into some pretty big fights. And beating, probably the biggest fight of his life was beating Arturo Gatti in his retirement fight. A sad day to commemorate the great Arturo Gatti. Also in boxing history today, this is one of my favorite fights to rewatch on YouTube. The first marvelous Marvin Hagler versus Tommy the Hitman Hearns right here at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. Reserve seats were only $20. 1985, Drew. $20. That's what, 31 years ago? 31 years ago. Born. Perfect seats right there, just $20. And I'm sure that fight was out in the open. Two incredible, noteworthy events in the sport of boxing today.
Shame, it's the year I was born.
It was a good year. Cincinnati Nick says Gotti versus De La Hoya, the last fight I saw him in Vegas. Yeah, wow, yeah. Gotti definitely had his share of great names on his resume. And like I said, not in the traditional sense where his record, it was how he fought in the ring and who he fought, Speaking of, I'm ready to talk about ESPN. I'll save this thing that I heard for later. I'm not going to get into that just yet now. I want to talk about ESPN's fight this weekend. Obviously, Drew, Jared Big Baby Anderson, I seen him fight in his first professional fight in Reno. That was years back on a Top Rank card that featured the pro debut of Xander Zayas as well. Our boy Francisco Vargas, Pancho Vargas was on that. Who else was on that fight? Man, it was a great card. It was the debut. And here we are still, Top Rank and Bob Arum have high hopes for Baby Anderson. And a lot of people like us, maybe about a year back, thought, hey, this is the future of American heavyweight boxing. Top Rank has now produced 3 of the dullest free fights that I've seen in recent memory, starring big people they had big hopes for. Shakur Stevenson on F1 Formula Weekend stinks up national television with that worst championship fight I've ever seen. Then on Super Bowl weekend, I go and see Teofimo Lopez at the Mandalay Bay against the Technician. That turned out to be a fucking snooze fest on free national TV. And then this weekend, they bring in a former WBA cruiserweight champion from Belgium. 5'9.5", a heavyweight that's he's 5'10", 235.
He knocked out Tony Yoka.
He did. He's got a big name on his scalp. So why come to the U.S. to survive? To put on, but even worse, I have to give some fault to Big Baby Anderson. This is the kind of guy you're supposed to knock out, bro. You're supposed to figure out how to knock this guy out and break his shell, how to cut the corner off. Yes, he was moving very... What is up with that, man? What was up with that? Both of their performances weren't good to me. I'm sorry.
Here's my issue with Big Baby's performance. Why didn't he go for the body more when he was in that peekaboo defense? Why didn't you go for that body more to stop him from doing that? So you can get those shots in on the head eventually. Like, even when you get a body punch knocked down, that still works for a knockdown. Like, it seemed like, oh, I'm just going to get my shots in and just score and everything, just score points and just get an easy win. It was really that fucking bad. I fell asleep midway for the fight.
Yeah, it looked like glorified sparring. I mean, the Belgium guy absolutely didn't come to fight, but I hope that at this point in Baby Anderson's career, when we start talking about, we should see him fight Deontay Wilder, former American heavyweight, like how I cannot envision him fighting that level of opposition if he can't get cruiserweights out of the ring that don't really have any business in there with somebody that's a full-fledged heavyweight like Baby Anderson. I was disappointed, to say the least bit. And it makes it hard because now today we've got the biggest news that the Saudi Arabians are going to put on this mega event again that includes 3 top heavyweight fights. You've got the unification between Dimitri Bivol and Beterbiev on the same card. And it's just hard for me to think Baby Anderson is ready for that. But you know what? Bob Arum had a statement to make about that. He's calling out everybody out here, Drew. He's doing the best he could to promote. Let me see where this statement is from Bob Anderson here. I'm sorry, Bob Anderson. Bob Arum. Bob Arum says, we're looking for a heavyweight who thinks he can actually beat Jared Anderson. We need someone brave enough to get in the ring with Jared and give him a real battle. There's no one he would be reluctant to fight at this point. Okay, well, Efe Jagba was on that card earlier in the night, right? And if so was the Italian fighter. Why didn't they just match him up with one of those 2 guys, Drew?
I don't know. Like, they had a plan. They're saying their plan is not for him to fight for a championship until 2026, I believe. Why? The dude will have at least 20 fights in by next year. Over 20 fights by next year. It's really, how long are you going to pump the brakes on his development? Like, you got to fight. He's going to eventually be told, hey, we're going to put we got you an eliminator and everything. And then what's Bob and I'm going to do? Tell them he's not ready for an eliminator? Say, dude, he's ranked number 3 in the IBF. Let's just say, I don't know if he's ranked not IBF from a 3. I'm just saying, he's always going to fight eliminator, and we made it an eliminator for him. So is he going to fight or what? If he doesn't fight, I got to push him back in the rankings. So you will push him back in the rankings just to say, we're developing him for another year. Now, the sparks that he could box, if he corrects some issues, he's virtually unbeatable in my eyes. Mm-hmm. Like when he fought Charles Martin, if he were to fix those issues he had when he fought Charles Martin, he's virtually unbeatable. I don't see a heavyweight beating him. But until we see that improvement, until we see that, like, guys say, hold on. No. It's going to be waiting to 2026 for a fight. And
you think in 2 more years, 6 more fights, potentially 3 fights per year at least?
I don't like, we can't put that as I don't understand. He's going to have over 20 fights by then. Yeah.
Honestly, Drew, at this point in his career, like Daniel Dubois had already been moved along and started to fight contenders. And maybe he was not ready when he fought Joe Joyce and lost. That's the level where I want to see Jared Anderson in about 2 fights, not 2026. I want to see him start mixing it up. When he fought Charles Martin, a former world champion, in the very late, that's the guy who pushed him the most so far. And you need to have, like Bob says, you definitely need to have somebody push him because he ain't learning shit. He ain't learned nothing on Saturday night other than that he can go the rounds.
I look at it like this when it comes to Daniel Dubois and everything. Like, can you say he wasn't ready? No. I believe he was ready to fight that bigger fight against Joyce. But the issue was Daniel did not move his head enough and kept getting hit and everything. Kept going getting hit in the eye and everything. He did not move his head enough. Joyce kept on attacking. Finally got him out of there and everything. That's on Dubois, but it's a learning experience. He came back, had a couple wins. He lost to Usyk. Then he came back and beat Jarrell, Big Baby Miller and everything. So, it's only if if he's willing to make that second step. Like, he was fighting okay against Usyk for a couple rounds. But other than that, he quit that fight too, Dubois. But now you got this 5-on-5 happening. He's fighting Hergativ on that 5-on-5, which I believe he's a huge underdog in that fight.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just like too hard to think because you see all this going on and everything, and you just gotta wonder that if he loses the Philip Hergativ, could that be the end of Daniel Dubois and everything?
Mm-hmm. I don't think so, Drew. I could tell you want to move on to the 5-on-5. It is big news, Drew. I want to get to that card. You're right. It's amazing on June 1st. But I want to give a quick shout out to friend of the show, Ruben Villa, Salinas, California, did win his fight against Christian Cruz Chacon. He fought this Saturday very early. Our boy Lukey Boxing said, well, if you want to have a clue as to whether or not Top Rank is thinking about matching him up in a title fight. Obviously, they've signed him. He's now, I think this is his third fight in a row with Top Rank. You want him to have a shot against one of maybe your two featherweight champions. One of them, someone he's beat before, Alvarado Lopez. Unfortunately, Ruben fought very early in the night. He fought so early. He fought before a local guy, Drew, that was the Golden Gloves winner in a 4-rounder. That pissed me off. But also, I need to see Ruben. We need to see Ruben. If you're going to be in the conversation to fight Alvarado Lopez, who you already beat on Showbox years back in 3 years ago, prior to the pandemic, you would have liked to have seen him stop a fighter with 6 losses and 1 draw. We would have liked to have seen that. He did have a stoppage on Thompson Boxing before he got this contract with Top Rank. But to be in the conversation with these exciting featherweight champions, man, I don't know if they're going to give him this featherweight title shot soon. Hopefully, he's ready for it. He can box your ears off. But there was no stoppage, unfortunately, guys. It went the distance. And I have seen him perform as a technician. I've seen him even fight better than that, man. I've seen him do some, like Lukey said, some Lomachenko-type performances. This was not a bad performance, but it also was not a performance anybody is writing about, man. So I hope in this next opportunity he gets closer and maybe pulls off a stoppage so we can get that real conversation going for a featherweight title opportunity for a friend of the show, Ruben Villa. But congratulations to him. A win is a win.
I look at it like this. I believe the only way he'll get a title shot if he becomes a mandatory.
Yeah, he's getting close. Again, it didn't sit well with me that he was so easy. I'm sorry that he was so early on the card on Saturday, but the card ended up kind of being a disappointment anyways. Maybe the best fight of the night to me was the co-main. Was the most interesting one between the Italian guy, Vianello.
Yeah, that was a good fight.
Ajaba.
I had that a draw, though. I had that fight a draw.
Hey, that's nice. Drew is excited. Who isn't excited about this? If you're a boxing fan, these are the type of cards and pay-per-views where you're like, damn, I actually might want to pay for this today. Paulie Maharaji said, this fight's fantastic because it's so early in the day on Saturday that your wife's not going to file for divorce because you're making her watch boxing all in the evening. You can still go out and take your wife out for dinner. This fight's going to take place June 1st. I'm talking about the ultimate unification between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, the most recent guy to defeat Canelo Alvarez. and it features a whole bunch of people. Drew, who's on this card, man? Who is not on this card? You already talked about a few of these fighters.
This isn't really some good fights on this. Like you got Ball versus Ray Ford.
Raymond Ford just won that title. Raymond Ford pulled off that win in the 12th round. Like, that was a badass fight. That is one of the better fights I've seen.
Ball got robbed. Beaten. Like, I thought he beat Vargas. Clearly beat him. And he got robbed and got a draw out of it. So,
you're talking about Ray Vargas. That's right.
Ray Vargas.
Yeah, actually.
So,
recently. Mm-hmm.
So you got them, and then you got Matchroom. Richardson is a light heavyweight contender at 18-3 versus Hickson from Queensberry. That's still light heavyweight. He's 17-1, but I think he's a British champion. And you got another heavy. Jorgensen versus Daniel Dubois.
Awesome fight.
And everything. And you got you got Ball versus Ford. You got
Deontay Wilder.
Deontay Wilder versus Zhang and everything. So it's some good fights.
Yeah.
And like
both of them coming off a loss. Like, I'm shocked. Zhang could have probably won that fight, but the far worse performance was coming from Deontay Wilder.
And he signed with Matchroom now.
Yeah.
He has signed to a promotional deal with Matchroom, Deontay Wilder. So that is why he's on Team Matchroom. He signed with Matchroom on this. But here's the thing. We can do predictions right now on these fights and everything. What we got so far, we might change our prediction. We don't know yet. And everything. I got Raymond Ford beating Ball by decision. I got Hutchinson beating Richardson by decision.
That's hard to say, too. Hutchinson versus Richards. Yep.
Hutchinson versus Richardson. I got Hutchinson beating Richardson by decision. I got Rogative stopping Dubois. And I think Zhang, as of right now, is the clear favorite to beat Deontay Wilder, possibly knock out Deontay Wilder.
And Deontay Wilder made a statement today that this may be his last hurrah if he cannot beat Zhang Zhang. And that's not an easy fight, man. Zhang Zhang, he can punch. He's a southpaw. The guy clearly has fantastic boxing pedigree. He's huge. And I think he'll be able to withstand Deontay Wilder's right hand. This is the heavyweight division, though. Drew, also on the card, I forgot, is Austin Williams, exciting super middleweight contender that signed to Matchroom. He'll be fighting Hamza Shiraz. And I haven't seen Hamza Shiraz, or maybe I can't remember watching him fight, but all up and down, guys. June 1st, this is going to be a very, very exciting boxing card. The best of Eddie Hearn's Matchroom, who has fighters here in the U.S. We just talked about his latest acquisition, which is a Philadelphia fighter, Boots Ennis. I just mentioned he's got Raymond Ford, who just recently won his title on Top Rank, WBA Super Featherweight title. Just literally, it was a fight of the year type performance to rally back and win in the 12th round. That should be a very exciting fight against Nick Ball, who we just saw come up short against Ray Vargas out of Mexico. Ray Vargas clearly, to a lot of people, got a gift on that. I don't know where Drew guys went, where he went. Let's read up. Appreciate everyone that's in this. A shout out to Walk with Rhonda, Sin City Syndicate, who's in here. I saw my homegirl, Mom Food. Make sure you check out all these awesome YouTube content creators. Mom Food, Rhonda, I have a channel right here. El Pachuco, shout out to you. Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more. Just did an awesome interview with co-host on not Top Rank, Pro Box TV. Go check out his channel. That was awesome as well. While Drew comes back, there is a story that I wanted to talk about that caught my eye this week that's not getting too much attention. This past week, I think it was Thursday, at the Resorts World Casino. You guys love the Resorts World. It's beautiful. It's got the nice color combinations, blue and gold and whatnot. Got some lively restaurants and obviously some nice late night entertainment area. This Thursday, they had a press conference open to the public between two former UFC stars, okay? And Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal out of Florida. They are going to be fighting in an actual boxing match. We just saw Diaz fight Jake Paul survive, go the distance against him, they're going to fight. And there's actually some really interesting stuff that went on at the press conference because Ryan Garcia showed up unannounced. He should be training and losing weight and just being focused. But the Thursday before his, just final press conference, he's in Vegas. He was in Vegas last week because his baby brother will be fighting on that card between Masvidal and Diaz that I just mentioned. His baby brother was there, and he was there to give support for his baby brother, who will be fighting the son of legendary Mexican-American fighter Fernando Ferros Vargas. I'm talking about Amado Vargas. Amado Vargas is on that card. Amado Vargas did not get signed by Top Rank like their star brother Emiliano. Him and his other brother Junior are kind of freelancing, fighting wherever they can. They just recently fought in Stockton on a Gabe Flores card, and they're keeping themselves busy, even though they did not get that big contract with Top Rank, PBC, or Matchroom. They're keeping themselves busy, guys. And Ryan Garcia's brother, he's a fighter too. I've seen him fight, and I really can't say much about him, Drew. And Ryan Garcia, they brought up the fight, their brothers fighting, and he had some very harsh words, disrespectful, in my opinion, words for his father, Fernando Ferros Vargas, a legend, Mexican-American fighter, a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he called his dad a bitch or something, but the family hasn't taken too lightly of it. And he said that, and, to paraphrase, his family, the Garcias, will never lose to a Vargas. Okay? Never. And that his brother was going to make Amado quit, just like Oscar De La Hoya made your daddy quit. Now, today I see that they have a fiery response back, and Fernando Vargas isn't too pleased. And he just let everybody know he thinks who the real bitch is, and that's the guy that quit in the ring against Gervonta Tank Davis. So I think we got something really interesting brewing now, Drew, where I wasn't even paying attention to this former UFC stars boxing match. Now I'm interested in it. It also features, I'm talking about Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal. It's a boxing match. They're going to have some real boxers on it. I just talked about Amado Vargas versus the brother of Ryan Garcia will be on it. But also Pettis, a former UFC champion, will be fighting a guy out of Stockton, Avila, that trains with Diaz, who's kind of been doing some pro boxing. And I've seen him on, what's that influencer boxing league, Avila? I've seen him fight. I've seen him fight on Misfits. He's not bad. The guy has a professional MMA record. He does MMA and boxing. So I think Pettis versus Avila should be a really good scrap too. So that's what's going on. Whatever you want to call it, former UFC fighting and Misfits fighting. I think this might actually sell. There's going to be some interest in people seeing these former UFC stars take on each other in the boxing ring.
I don't know if it's the one I might watch it just for the hell of it, but not too interested in it. I'm just not interested in it. I look at other shit and everything. Ryan Garcia's family just needs to stop. I saw his brother fight. He's not worth talking about. And Ryan's going to quit this weekend. Ryan's going to quit again. I'm sorry, Ryan Garcia is going to quit, and we're going to look at it. This is Ryan Garcia's going to be known for. Big fights, he quits. And that's how it's going to be.
We're going to end our show on that. I mean, we're sprinkling the conversation here with this, obviously the main event this weekend, Drew. But there's been some big news announced for Cinco de Mayo. We all want to know who is going to be fighting on the undercard of the Canelo Alvarez super fight between Jaime Munguia. I'm excited for this fight, man. This Mexican showdown is the kind of showdowns that historically have been legendary, like fighters like Barreras versus Morales. These are the kind of fights that we need in the sport of boxing. And obviously it's not David Benavidez, but I still welcome him fighting Jaime Munguia, who's coming into his own as a decent fight for Cinco de Mayo. But let's talk about this undercard really quickly. because I ran into Mario Barrios. It's on my page, guys. Go back and watch that interview. I ran into him at the Cosmopolitan with Brian Mendoza, who we just recently fought. And I asked him, hey, man, you think you're going to get a Cinco de Mayo fight? He said, I'm training for it. If it happens, it happens. And sure enough, it's happening against Fabian Maidana, a relative of Marcos Maidana. Brandon Figueroa, they could be brother-in-laws. Mario Barrios is having a baby with his sister versus former champion in Jesse Magdaleno. And of course, I mentioned Stanionis is finally back against Gabriel Maestre of Venezuela, a guy that I think the last time I saw him fight got a fucking gift on PBC's Fox on national television, a free fight. Last time I seen this Venezuelan fight, he got a gift. I don't expect him to be on the level of Stanionis, even though he is a former international, amateur champ type fighter,
This undercard sucks.
All right, let's just address the elephant. This undercard sucks. It sucks.
It really does, Dave. I'm sorry. It really fucking sucks. Let's look. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. How many pay-per-view buys did that Sue Fundora card do?
Man, I don't know. What I heard is awful, but again, they always keep these as private as possible. I've heard less than 35,000. I don't know what the truth is. The truth is, it did decent. It did decent at the gate. It did all right at the gate. This fight's gonna sell out.
I'm hearing 5,000.
Man, it gets worse and worse.
That's how I'm hearing.
I'm hearing they got no views. Nobody bought the fight at this point.
But here's the thing. You would expect that PBC needs this card to make money.
Yeah, it's a redemption, because if not, Amazon's just going to drop them.
But here's the thing. They're going to have it at $80. They're not going to make no money. They'll tell you the truth. They're going to have a good gate. But in order to make money off this, in order to break even on this, you got to make $800K in pay-per-view buys. I don't see this be an $800K pay-per-view buy. I see this possibly going maybe 700.
But that's not too bad. I also thought you were going to say maybe half a million. Obviously, there's been some fighters punished. We talked about Jesus Ramos Jr. coming up short last time he was the co-main event. He was not. I would expect, hey, man, you guys still have him on the PBC roster. I know he is training for a fight is what I hear, but he was not rewarded by being put on this card because of his performance probably against Lubin that people didn't like. I mean, people in the audience seemed to boo that fight. Mario Barrios is getting rewarded by being the co-main. He just has a huge win over Ugas, and he is the IBF interim title. I believe he has the interim title. His opponent, this is not a good opponent. That's what you said. Brandon Figueroa versus Jesse Magdaleno. Magdaleno's shown pretty much he's washed up at this point. And Stanionis has been out of the ring almost 2 years. I said this on the roundtable with D-Style and Joe Habib last week. The only way this card gets interesting is the same shit that happened in the Tim Tszyu card, which is that somebody got injured and pulled out, and then the card got rearranged and shuffled around, and then all of a sudden we had an exciting night. The only way this undercard would be better is like Drew said on Twitter, on X. Drew, you said, if this fucking fight was so much better, why didn't you make it to begin with? This is how you make this fucking card interesting. Stanionis fights Mario Barrios, the interim champion, because Stanionis is absolutely on the level of Mario Barrios. Then you have a real co-main. And it means something because both of these guys, Stanionis and Mario Barrios, want to crack at Boots Ennis, Drew. Both of them want to crack at him. That's how this card gets interesting. I can't really tell you much about Brandon Figueroa, Jesse Magdaleno. You leave that on there, and hopefully you have a swing bout with somebody ready to go. And now you've got a decent card.
You want to know why he's not fighting Mario Barrios?
Because it's the same shit. You could tell
me
why,
but he's not a PBC guy.
There you have it. He's not being rewarded. Just like what Boots Ennis wasn't getting the fights. Even though he was on Showtime, he wasn't getting the crack at the PBC stars. It involves politics, promotions, managers.
PBC does not believe Mario Barrios can beat Stanionis.
Which is why Stanionis really needs to make a ploy to get a fight after this with Matchroom and say, "Hey, I'll fight Boots, please. Let me, I'll fight him for pennies."
Look at it like this. The IBF or the WBC should order this fight with Mario Barrios to defend against Ennis, because it's not his fault that fight, that eliminator, couldn't happen with him and Virgil Ortiz. So avoid this man for stay out of the ring for 2 years because 2 of the fights he was supposed to make were not his fault. Avoid him with this fight and everything. But no, PB, like this card does no more than $700K, and they don't make money off this card. And it will be another bad business proposition for Al Heyman and everything. I look at it like this. They need to probably put this price down on this pay-per-view in order to make money. Because right now, you at that point, you got to make money. And it goes about, hey, we're gonna put it down on the price. We're gonna fucking make money off this fight. We're gonna have to put the price down to $60. Because that way, if we do $700K, we're making a little bit of profit off this fight. Even with the gate, we're making a little bit of profit off it. And that keeps Amazon off our backs. But Al Heyman cares about, he is an egomaniac. He's a con artist. And he thinks that he's going to be able to rob, he's going to be able to take Amazon for what they're worth, but they see this thing making money. Amazon put a plug on this before it goes anymore. Hey, we didn't make no money off this. We lost a little bit of money. How about we just cut our losses with this as soon as possible? Tell yo, now we're gonna end our agreement. You can't produce shit with us. So,
Drew, we started the show. Obviously, the big news story is that it's fight week. It's Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney for Devin Haney's 140-pound championship, one a title that Devin Haney won in spectacular fashion, defeating in San Francisco the New Orleans fighter in not Rigondeaux. Who did he just fight, Drew? What happened to Drew? Anyways, guys, Ryan Garcia feels that high ticket prices are the reason why it is not selling well, Drew. They had fantastic sales, Drew, and now he's put out a statement. He thinks it's that the ticket prices are what's holding back and inflation. You mentioned maybe it was some of his antics. He seems to think it's ticket prices. Apparently, I have seen secondary ticket prices coming down, but they're still $300 for nosebleeds.
Yeah, but I really think the main component is his antics and everything. Like, people just cannot trust that this dude is serious. And they really thought the athletic commission would have stepped in and order him to take a psych evaluation and everything. And, like, potentially cancel this fight and say, yo, get another fighter. He's mentally unfit to fight. So, but the athletic commission wants to watch him get his ass kicked. So, hey, get a plus.
Well, we're coming up on this weekend. We'll figure it out. Eventually, we'll be discussing what the pay-per-view type numbers are when they release them and whatnot. But obviously, ticket sales are more important because they don't want to fight to an empty place. You know, whether or not they're going to have to use discount brokerages like Groupon or Living Social or whatever they use to fill seats, man, they're going to have to do something. Because as of now on Ticketmaster, I had checked before, and there's plenty of good seats available. Let's talk about this card, Drew. The co-main event, obviously someone we've had on the show. Thank you to Lukey's Arnold Barboza Jr., who recently signed with Golden Boy because he was not getting the fights at 140 that he deserved at Top Rank, Drew. This guy fought inside of the top 10 contender list, WBO or whatnot, at 140 pounds. He was fighting him, but he's still not getting the title opportunity. He finds himself on the co-main also as a potential last-minute replacement as a guarantee insurance, should Ryan Garcia not fight. He is there, but he's going to be fighting somebody nobody's interested in Sean McComb, a guy who has virtually no chance of beating a much more skilled fighter in Arnold Barboza Jr. So that kind of just makes the card. I mean, hey, you're not doing Barboza Jr. by really testing him, but he's there to kind of just fill in and show why Oscar signed him. You know what I'm saying? Somebody I'm more excited in, honestly, is Beck the Bully. Beck the Bully's best fight is against a Philadelphia fighter in Gabe Rosado, one where he lost. Ever since then, I think he's on a 6-fight win streak, most of them by stoppages. They still calling him a prospect. Bro, how is he a prospect and not a contender at super middleweight?
I don't know. I don't know. That's something you really got to ask Oscar and DAZN. Why do you consider him a prospect still?
Yeah, Beck the Bully is one of these Eastern European fighters that now lives and trains in Southern California in the desert region. A lot of Ukrainian fighters and Eastern European fighters have adopted that part of the valley, Coachella Valley area, because they have fantastic training camps from fantastic coaches and whatnot. And honestly, I think Beck the Bully, if you push the guy, he's just a couple of fights away from somebody that we can really call a contender. I think he's way more talented than, say, someone like the Puerto Rican fighter in Berlanga. I think he's completely, in every aspect of his game, better than somebody like Berlanga. And yet Berlanga's got kind of household name recognition in the U.S. because of his social media following and the way Top Rank had pushed him on ESPN. But Beck the Bully is part of the main event here. He'll be fighting Pierre Dibombe, a super middleweight attraction. One again is as he's fighting somebody that I don't think is going to push him. I expect Beck the Bully in this one to come away victorious with a TKO stoppage, man, because the guy can crack and he has power and he sets up his punches to do so, to get people out of there. He has had that major roadblock where he fought, as I mentioned, Philadelphia's Gabe Rosado. And after dropping Gabe Rosado in round 1, he ends up getting countered and stopped for the very first time in his life by Gabe Rosado. Gabe Rosado's probably in the last 5 years, the best victory he ever had against anybody in a future star contender, potential future world champion in Beck the Bully. But ever since then, like I said, guys, 6 in a row straight wins. El Pachuco says, hey, Jose Ramirez and Ferocious Virgil Ortiz, April 27th in Fresno, California. And that's very exciting, El Pachuco, because Jose Ramirez obviously still has a tremendous fan base and local support from his community in the Fresno surrounding areas. And Virgil Ortiz is a perfect co-main event. We all want to see how Virgil Ortiz is developing at 154 pounds. We want to see whether or not we can put him in that conversation with top contenders. Will he be a potential opponent of Tim Tszyu? Obviously, Tim Tszyu looking to fight high prospect names, high names with the recognition like Virgil Ortiz. But this January, I saw Virgil Ortiz here in Las Vegas, his much-awaited return, and it was a sham of a fight. I mean, it ended in like 1 or 2 rounds. They got an African opponent to come in, and it sucked. I didn't get to see anything. We waited around for almost a year and a half for Virgil Ortiz to get healthy again. We wondered if he would even return to the sport, and now we know he can, and he's doing much better from that rare disease that he has been diagnosed with. I hope to see him on the card and no cancellation, man. That is exciting. Even though, I'll be honest with you, Dad, when we're talking about this main event this weekend, I'm not excited about the opponents, Drew. It's lately what I'm seeing from these promoters is when it's a big card, when it's a big pay-per-view, whether it's PBC, we just saw the Tim Tszyu card originally was all mismatches. This is all kind of like, who can we put together that is going to be someone we want to watch, but is going to come away with an easy victory. That was originally the Tim Tszyu card. It didn't pan out to be that way, but it was. And this fight this weekend, Drew, is full of the fucking mismatches. Arnold Barboza Jr. versus Sean McComb. Decision. Majority decision for Arnold Barboza Jr. Beck the Bully versus Pierre. Stoppage. Beck the Bully.
Yeah. I'm going to disagree on the Barboza, and I think he wins by stoppage.
There is someone on this card this Saturday, guys. I've not seen Charles Conwell fight. He is a legit former Olympian, Team USA, I think 2016 Olympics. Charles Conwell had a fantastic start to his career that hit a major roadblock with promoter issues. and also in the unfortunate death of, I believe his last name was O'Day. I hope I'm not got the name wrong. Patrick O'Day, I believe was his name, Drew. It was a very, very sad and tragic incident that unfolded in New York several years back. Charles Conwell was undefeated. He took on this prospect, and that prospect ended up losing their life as a result of that fight in a very tragic manner. It happens in the sport. And Charles Conwell had a moment like most fighters who've been in this horrible situation is, do I keep fighting? How do I move on mentally from the fact that somebody I was in the ring with, I was the cause of their death? And that's some serious stuff to deal with. You know, how do you carry on? But Patrick O'Day's family, you know, they spent a lot of time with Charles Conwell talking with him and saying, hey, my son, their son passed away doing what he loved to do, and he would most definitely want Charles Conwell to continue on with his career. Charles Conwell finally signing with a good promoter in Oscar De La Hoya and being back on this card. He's almost had a nearly 2-year layoff, and he's fighting an Italian that I've never heard of, Gustavo Vittori. I expect him to stop him. You know, I expect a stoppage, but that's up and down this card, Drew. It's just kind of mismatches. Kind of hard to sell an $80 pay-per-view with a card that's stacked with mismatches.
Yeah, and this is becoming a complete pattern of, this is like all promoters doing this. Where a big card has mismatches and on the co-mains underneath on the undercard, and you for your setup to your big fight. That's why do you expect people to pay if you're not going to produce quality and everything? This is like, doesn't matter if the big fights, hey, the big fights are happening, but you still got to produce a undercard that makes them come in early to watch the fights and everything, that gets it set up. Because tell you the truth, not one fight is going to sell this card. Is going to sell a card. It's going to be more than one, because there's a storyline. There could be a storyline with the co-main. Oh, the winner of this fight could potentially fight the winner of the main event. There's two good fighters in that co-main. It's just not. It's something that I think promoters are really missing the point. Like, oh, you want the big fights, but you also got to make sure that you have good undercards to follow that. Because who wants to come for one fight? And then audience going to say, oh, you know, I'm really not liking this card at all. And they might think that the main event's going to be like that. And everything. And especially if the main event turns out to be a snooze fest or something, this has been a whole epic fail. In other words, a clusterfuck and everything. I just really look at it as in, there's not smart business going on. And at the same time, you want to try to bring up some of your guys. But I said this, I don't really like the way that Golden Boy and Matchroom are really bringing up the prospects and everything. I just don't like it. And like, I think Top Rank is the best at bringing up the prospects and everything, because they up in the competition on them. And like, you know, I don't know. I just gotta look at it, man, you know, and I just gotta look at it like this, man, that it's gotta be better. And me, Truck Mike, you look like an 80-pound crackhead. Should shut the hell up. Sorry, Dave, had to say it. He had to be pointed out. But
well, he got into your rant.
In the mood. Yeah, don't interrupt my fucking rant and everything. You 80-pound fucking crackhead looking for his next fucking fix somewhere. But no, at the end of the day, man, it's just these promoters, they got to do better business and everything. That's all it's got to be when it comes to that. And like Top Rank's doing it right, but the only problem is when you got one guy that decided not to show up to fight, but to survive and everything, it really hurts you. And then another guy, heavyweight, that's known to be a knockout puncher, not doing his part in entertaining the fans, it cutting off that wing and going for the knockout. Cards like that go downhill because that was a good card into that main event. I'm sorry, that was a good card. That heavyweight fight before that should have been a main event. By far, that should have been a main event. It was a really good fight and everything. I had it a draw, could have went either way, but I liked how Ejaba was able to switch the fight southpaw. You see how he's getting better since that Frank Sanchez defeat. But when it comes to this card Saturday, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not selling tickets, especially. Don't you want to have like Brooklyn fighters on there from Brooklyn or New York or something on the East Coast fighting on it that is a big name to attract fans?
No, they don't have anybody.
I think they failed to reach the point. That is the whole thing. I should have an East Coast fighter on that card that people know, that people will want to come see.
Well, they could have tried to work something out. Matchroom, like Berlanga versus Beck the Bully. Beck the Bully, Oscar De La Hoya fighter. That would have been a fantastic co-main event. That's a real co-main event. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Neither of them are world champions, so why not? Why not separate? You know, like we're seeing the 5-5 we're seeing between Matchroom and Queensberry Promotions. Give me your best five fighters. I'll put up my best five fighters.
I look at
we're not getting that. We're absolutely not going to get that.
I look at it like this. I have an idea of why Beck the Bully is labeled a prospect still. I believe he's still a prospect is because he still makes prospects mistakes. And I was watching the last couple of his fights. He makes a lot of fucking mistakes. Like, technique wise, he is still vulnerable to get knocked out. Like he can get
that
caught.
Makes it exciting. That's why I want to see him against people like Berlanga, who is a good power puncher, or Jaime Munguia, also a Golden Boy fighter.
And here's the issue. Another issue is he's a very undersized super middleweight. He's only 5'9".
And we just saw somebody fight Jared Anderson this past weekend, who was 5'9" and a half, 5'10".
But like he's literally at a big disadvantage of reach and everything, Beck the Bully. And like if you look at, here's the thing. Yeah, he has power behind his punches and everything, but technique-wise, he's very flawed. And to get knocked out, to get caught by Gabe Rosado, a guy that had like 15 losses, yeah, you avenge that loss, but you should have never lost him in the first place. But I don't see Beck the Bully I don't even see him as a cringe contender, Dave.
Damn.
I just don't see him as a cringe contender. I think that if you look at it, let's compare the top 10 of super middleweight. I can tell you probably all of them beat him. I can tell you Billy knocks him out. I think Morel destroys him. I think Benavidez destroys him. Canelo destroys him. Munguia destroys him. Wido destroys him. Jacobs.
Daniel Jacobs?
I think Daniel Jacobs beats him.
Oh, man, you tripping now.
Here's the thing. If Daniel Jacobs cannot beat Beck the Bully, Daniel Jacobs has no business in a fucking boxing ring.
I think he doesn't have any more business in the boxing ring. Drew, before we wrap up the show, let's just get into the main event because it is getting late. I know you're on the East Coast and you probably got to work tomorrow. But first I'm going to ask Drew, Ryan Garcia pulling off an upset, and Sin City Syndicate put it in earlier. He's right now currently sitting at a plus 550. Guys, there are people out there that are fans of Ryan Garcia that think that he can pull this off, but there's only one real roadmap for Ryan Garcia to beating Devin Haney. We've seen Devin Haney hurt once against Linares, but never go down. We've seen Ryan Garcia down against the former gold medalist, what was his name? In the fight where
Luke Campbell?
Luke Campbell. Arguably, Ryan Garcia's finest performance ever was one in which he was floored, got back up, and finished Luke Campbell, a former gold medalist and world champion. Other than that, Ryan Garcia has not beaten anybody of upper echelon quality at lightweight, 135 pounds, never was a champion, hasn't beat anybody notably at 140. At 140, he brought up Oscar Duarte. He has the largest social media following of any boxer. He is currently number one as far as an influencer, not just as a boxer, but kind of even as just a pop culture guy, Drew. He doesn't need to win this fight to continue his pro boxing career because most likely with his popularity, he'll continue. But what type of performance, how many rounds does he need to win to still be taken seriously as a boxer by fans like you and I? And I'm going to tell you, I think I need to see him win 5 rounds. I need to see him win 5 rounds against Devin Haney. And the former, what was his name? Rugu? I called him Riganu. Ruguru. Regis Prograis. I forgot his name earlier today. Regis Prograis is a guy that I expected to potentially beat Devin Haney, and he got washed out clinically.
I won the first round on my card.
First of all, is Ryan Garcia capable of winning 4, 5 rounds?
No.
Is he capable of getting lucky and landing a shot the way Linares did that put Devin Haney on basically chicken legs?
No. Too flat-footed.
Are we going to basically see a shutout? And will Ryan Garcia gas at the end? Because it's going to be a long night. If Devin Haney starts pitching a shutout, like we talk about in baseball, Ryan Garcia is going to have a hard time finishing that fight into the 12th round with frustration. We saw him get frustrated against Tank and then just make total mental mistakes.
The way he fought last time was horrible with that bootleg fucking Philly shell.
Right.
He probably got that off one of those stands outside of a place that you can buy bootleg shit at and everything. But no, he's too flat-footed to do the fight against Devin. He's too flat-footed. He's too he's technically fraud. Ryan Garcia is not that good of a fighter to begin with. I think this is a fucking one-sided fight. And I think that this don't go 12 rounds. He quits in this fight. Again, he's going to quit because here's the thing. Devin is going to hit him. And he's going to counter him. He's going to do a lot of shit. And Ryan Garcia is going to look at it, get knocked down, or he's gonna be like this. I don't want to do it no more. I'm done.
Man, that's shocking. I think Ryan Garcia has got the heart. He's proven it to go the 12. But then at the same time, I brought it up earlier when you were out. Fernando Vargas, the not heavyweight, but the legendary Hall of Fame fighter Fernando Vargas said that it's Ryan that's the bitch. You're coming after my son. It's you. It's you that we all saw quit against Gervonta Tank Davis. I'm gonna give him some credit and think that he can, with his heart, pull out 12 rounds against Devin Haney. But it's going to get increasingly more difficult because, like we brought up today, is Arturo Gotti's birthday. I had so much high hopes as a fan of Arturo Gatti when he fought Floyd Mayweather. Everybody wanted Floyd Mayweather always to lose. We always thought, this is the guy. This is the guy. Arturo's the guy. We saw him fight with all that bravery and heart against people like Mickey Ward. And we're like, he's gonna be the guy to stop Mayweather. And then Mayweather would put on these clinics, boxing clinics, and show you, hey, I'm an A-level fighter and you're a C-level fighter. Unfortunately, with Ryan, if he does not land that left hook that has so much power, or maybe a right hand that wobbles him. If he can't land that, then I think it's going to be a long night for him. It's going to be a wash. It's going to be very difficult for me to even see Ryan Garcia winning 3 or 4 rounds. I would call it a moral victory if he can win 5, but I find that very difficult because if he does try to get into a boxing match with Devin Haney, Drew, Devin Haney's just gotten too far advanced at this far in his career, fighting the people he's fought. And I have to give credit to his father, Bill Haney, because he's put his son in there and built him against some of the best. Whether or not he won that fight with Lomachenko, he got him the experience with Loma. He got him the experience traveling out of his country to TJ as a young fighter, to Australia to fight Kambosos, to fight the people he's fought. The resume is far better than anything Ryan Garcia has done other than fight Tank.
I look at it like this. Ryan's left hook is compromised already. Devin, all he has to do when he throws that left hook, counter shot to the body, the liver's wide open. And that's how Tank caught him. He threw the left hook. Tank was able to counter to the liver. And that's what ended the fight. And then, and I look at it, that's the shot that Devin Haney could possibly end Ryan Garcia with. A liver shot again. I'm going to look at it like this. I don't think we don't take Ryan Garcia seriously after this fight. I think this is the fight that everybody's going to see. You cannot take Ryan Garcia serious anymore. I never took him serious. I'm talking about other people that actually took him serious. There is no reason to take Ryan Garcia serious after this fight. And you just have to think with Oscar, are you willing to invest any more money in Ryan Garcia? Or do you cut your losses and move on?
True. As I wrap up the show, it is late. Ryan Garcia wins this fight. He's already a superstar in many people's eyes, but he becomes a boxing superstar by beating Devin Haney. The odds are against him as far as being able to keep up with Devin Haney's boxing skill, when at one point these two fought as amateurs 6 times and they were equal, 3-3 apiece. Devin Haney's experience between his dad and his promoters, he's in a different league right now, to me, than Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia can pull off this upset. He's not only now just a social media star, but he is a boxing bona fide superstar. Losing this fight, I mean, you pretty much nailed it, dude. His boxing career, he's lost to 2 of the very best champions out there right now, 135 and 140. It's how he loses. Because if he can't win 4-5 rounds and he walks away with only being competitive in like 3 rounds, then there's no way I could even think of him ever being a world titleist at 140. He doesn't beat Rolly Romero. He doesn't beat Rolly Romero. He does beat Rolly Romero. He doesn't beat Pitbull Cruz most likely. He definitely gets knocked out by Matias, the Puerto Rican hard-hitting star. I think if he mixes it up with Matias, it's not going to be a good thing for him. He won't ever get a fight with Teofimo Lopez. Win this fight, the world is his oyster. Lose this fight in horrible fashion, man, I don't even see how he gets fights a title opportunity at 140 again. He is going to have to rebuild himself over the course of the next 2 years and hopefully mature and maybe eventually get a shot somewhere down the line when the welterweight division is weak and move up to welterweight. But it's going to be a rebuilding process if he doesn't come away with a decent performance this Saturday.
I'm going to look at it like this, Dave. If this is one-sided, like I predict it's going to be, I think he's done.
Man. I am Dwayne. This time says Ryan Garcia should go to Misfit Boxing if he loses this fight. People are already clamoring for Rolly Romero to go over there. Like I said, we're going to see this guy Avila fight Pettis, the former UFC champion. He's fought over at Misfits, but he's a professional boxer. Obviously, Ryan Garcia, if there was a Misfits champion, it'd be him. He'd win. But I'm sure this is a guy who was a decorated amateur. He wants to be a contender. He wants to be a world champion. He needs to take the sport even far more serious than he has.
Look at it like this, Dave. Lockman Jr. is on that Misfits of fighting. You want to know why? Because he realizes he's not beating none of these heavyweights. Half of these top heavyweights knock him out. He's not. I saw the last couple in there, and no. He doesn't beat them. And Tank beats them all. Latoya, got to disagree with you. Tank does not beat them all.
Well, I appreciate Latoya, Top Dog, a new name. Thank you for joining the Shoe Shot. Appreciate you. Every Monday night we do this. Sometimes we come back on Thursdays. Appreciate you being here. It's debatable who Tank could beat because we're only going to get to see him fight against PBC fighters like Frank Martin. I cannot wait for the reins to be taken off Tank Davis and fight the likes of the big names again, like Devin Haney, like Matias, like Teofimo Lopez. Oh, I want to see Tank fight all of those guys because I put him in as competitive against all of them, even a rematch against Pitbull Cruz.
I asked everybody this to say Tank beats them all. If Tank beats them all, why hasn't he fought any of them?
Man, like we said, man, we get people whispering in his ear.
Because when Tank goes in there, he got interviewing Gilly. And he said, I never asked to fight him. I don't have to fight them.
It's a pipe dream, but if Tank were to fight on Matchroom and sign with Eddie Hearn, if something happened and he's like, hey, I'm leaving Al, I bet like Boots Ennis, all of a sudden, all these fights could actually materialize. And they could materialize now. If you were willing to fight Tank and say, hey, I want to fight with Tank like Ryan Garcia did with Oscar, you can get a fight with him. You got to use your power of your platform and your voice and say, I want to fight with Tank. Drew, it's been a great show. Go ahead. Give me your parting words.
I look at it like this. The only one I give Tank really a chance of beating is out at one at maybe a secure a little bit if you can get to him. I don't think he beats Devin. I don't think he beats Loma. He ducked Loma for years, and he doesn't beat this version of Loma anyway. He beats Ryan. He easily beats Ryan. He could. It's neck and neck with Teofimo. Depends on what Teofimo shows up. Matias, I don't think he beats Matias. And like Frank Martin, he beats Frank Martin. That's why they got him fighting Frank Martin. Now it is that your favorite word in the diction? Is that your favorite word to make you realize that your point to get your point across? Tank has power, yes, but here's the thing. Tank has not shown to really want to fight these other guys. So it's the narratives that you want to put on saying that Tank beats them all. If Tank beats them all, why don't he fight them then? If you think Tank beats them all. Why don't you ask Tank why he doesn't fight Lomachenko? Why doesn't he fight Devin Haney? Why doesn't he fight Sakura Stevenson or Teofimo? Come on. Tell me. Go ask Tank. Go ask Tank. And you ask, and Tank will tell you, I don't got to fight them because he'd rather just make that $1.5 million purse and live off that money.
Man, it's been a great show. Monday nights with the Shoe Shine. Thank you for everybody that joined Drew. Drew is fired up. I like this passion again, Drew.
Sub to the channel, Latoya.
Yeah, make sure you guys subscribe. I appreciate everyone that participated in today's chat. There's plenty of boxing news ahead. I hope to get another show in this week. That's why it's important you're subscribed. Drew can come on here and do his last-minute predictions. And, of course, every Monday night we're back at 7:30 p.m. I'm Dave in the 702, Philly Irish Drew Evo. I'll see you next week, homie. Peace.